Hi everyone, it's Evelyn, and we are going to go over my spring bulb order that I'm getting ready to place. Even though I haven't planted my fall bulbs yet, but it's time to figure out my spring bulb order, which I have here and I'm going to go over with you. Now, you'll notice I got all these boxes beside me here. These are the envelopes for my Birds in Santa Hats collection of 8 Christmas cards that I'm going to be launching on Etsy at the beginning of November. And I found these envelopes at Staples. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I was so excited when I found these. They're Earth Hugger because they are 100% paper. They're padded, but they don't have that plastic bubble wrap lining in them, which means you can recycle the whole thing. They're a little more expensive. I don't care. I'm going to absorb that cost. I think that this is how all padded envelopes should go. So I'm really, really excited about that. So I placed an order of them and they've come in. So I've got all the envelopes ready now. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. So for my spring bulbs, I'm really glad that I went over my top 10 dahlias. And the reason for that is I know that I want to have a lot more tartan in my garden for next year. So dahlias are considered a spring bulb in the spring bulb catalog. And for that reason, I am going to purchase, now for a wholesale order, I have to purchase a minimum of 8, which isn't that many. So I'm going to put in a purchase of 8 tartans for my part of my order. So that, if I hadn't done my top 10 dahlias, I would not have realized that I really did want some more tartan. Now, my dahlia beds were full, but that's okay because when I did my top 10 dahlias, there was also a bunch of dahlias that didn't make my top 10. And analyzing for myself why they didn't make my top 10, I realized that there's no point in my actually growing them again. So that will be Bodacious, Kenora Mac B, Encore, Thomas Edison, and AC Big Johnson are for dinner plate dahlias are definitely not going to be part of my dahlia gardens beds next year of the 160 that I grow. I'm also dropping, that isn't dinner plate, but is a mini ball dahlia. I'm also dropping Addison June. And I'm going to grow a whole lot less Keith H, which is a water lily dahlia. So, because I had way too many of them. So that frees up a lot of space in my dahlia beds to increase stock on AC Loomis and Spartacus. And is there any other ones that I want to increase stock on? Well, tartan, which is why I'm ordering those. All the other ones that I want to increase stock on, that's not going to be a problem because I have enough growing that I'm just through divisions or even cuttings if need be. I'll be able to do that. But I only have 2 tartan growing, and I don't want to trust that those 2 tuber masses are going to be sufficient in order for me to get another 6 over and above those 2. Those 2 may not even make it through the winter for all I know until I dig them up, which was the way things are going with how warm, I keep looking out the window, with how warm our year has been, might not even be until into December because we did have our first killing frost one year, not until December 3rd. And then that becomes too late for me to then place the order. So I'm going to order them. And if I have too many tartan, that's okay. I can sell a couple as pre-started dahlia plants because I do sell those. So that's tartan. That's the only dinner plate dahlia that's going to make my order. But while thinking about dahlias, I also grow ball dahlias. And the ball dahlias, and some small decorative ones like Keith H and Edinburgh and French Louis Mayer. So those are the 3 non-ball but decorative, smaller size flowers. And then I grew, for ball dahlias this year, I grew Petra's Wedding, Wizard of Oz, Marble Ball, Sylvia. And I had 1 Cornell Bronze. I want way more Cornell Bronze. So Cornell Bronze is going to be another one that I grow 8 of. So those are the 2 that I'm already growing in the garden, but only have the 2 tartans and the 1 Cornell Bronze that I really want to increase the stock of. Now, when I do bouquets, that's mostly the dinner plate dahlias. I don't involve a lot of the ball dahlias or decorative dahlias in the roadside flower wagon bouquets until kind of now-ish, almost. I still have a bit of yarrow. I'm probably just for one more bouquet. I'm out of cosmos. I used up the last of the late blooming snapdragons. So what's going to happen now is that my bouquets are going to become more concentrated just dahlias until the first killing frost, which means I'll probably have ball dahlias coming out the top. I'll probably use, well, I already am using Keith H in between. I'm doing 3 dinner plate dahlias and then in between them a Keith H because that really gives that autumnal look. And other than that, I don't use the Decker dahlias and the ball dahlias for most of the season, except for in my pop cans. Now in the pop cans, I'll put out 4 pop cans that have 1 single dinner plate dahlia, and that could be any of them. And then I will have 3 pop cans, and I have 3 recipes that I use, and I'll put them up here. Now the yellow one is very, very popular, and it has Sylvia, French Louis Mayer, and Keith H in it, and that's really, really popular. The second one that I do has Marble Ball, Edinburgh, and Purple Flame. That's really popular. The third one is Petra's Wedding, Wizard of Oz, and Cornell Bronze. Now, unfortunately, I only have 1 Cornell Bronze plant, so I don't have enough Cornell Bronze to constantly keep that trio going. So then I just have to sort of fudge it with other stuff. So it occurred to me that I need more Cornell Bronze for that reason. Hence, one of the reasons why I'm ordering more. I don't need 8, but to tell you the truth, the price of wholesale, if I just went to the retail store and bought 4, which is what I would like, I'd like to have 5 plants, I might as well buy 8 wholesale because it's not going to cost me any more. So while thinking about it, I also thought, but I do 4 choices of dinner plate dahlias in the pop cans. I'd like to do 4 choices of trios in a pop can. So I'd like to have another selection of recipe for the trio in the pop cans. And so I went through the wholesale catalog, and I'm doing it online. I don't have, for whatever reason, my book never arrived this year, even though they said they mailed it out. It just never arrived, and it doesn't really matter because I can go online and look at it, which is what I did. So I have decided that I'm going to get 1 additional ball dahlia, and that's going to be Sweet Fabian. And then I'm going to get 2 additional decorative dahlias, and that's going to be Blutiful and Arabian Night. And then that's going to shift my trios of what I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to pause you because I got to go look up on my computer and see how it shifts it. Just one sec. Okay, I'm back. I called it up on my computer, which is just over here. So I'm, instead of doing Petra's Wedding with Cornell Bronze and Wizard of Oz, I've switched that up a bit. So I'm going to do Petra's Wedding with Sweet Fabian, which is, I'll just go over here so you can see it on this side of me. Sweet Fabian is the beautiful bright pink ball dahlia, and I'm going to match that also with Blutiful. So I really like that. I'm going to call that my Cool Trio. Now, the Wizard of Oz and the Cornell Bronze are going to get matched with Arabian Nights. So the yellow, the trio of yellows, they'll stay the same. The trio of purples, they'll stay the same. But then I'll have the trio of cool, which will be the Petra's Wedding, the Blutiful, and the Petra's Wedding, Blutiful, and oh yeah, right, Sweet Fabian. And then I'll have a trio of autumnal colors, which will be Wizard of Oz, Cornell Bronze, and Arabian Nights. And that's going to be my 4 choices for the pop cans, triples, for the dahlia season. So I'm really excited about that. So I've got my dahlias covered. Cross those off here so that I know that I've talked about them. So then I was thinking about, you know, the pop cans are really, really popular. And I only do them through the dahlia season. And then I was asking myself, why? Why am I only doing them during the dahlia season? And really the answer is because I didn't have 3 of any other sort of grouping that I liked in the pop cans. And I started thinking about that quite a bit, actually. And it occurred to me that what I need to do is have pop cans for the anemone and ranunculus season. So I started scrutinizing what I had. I have lots of white, amandine white ranunculus. I have lots of amandine marshmallow ranunculus. But I only have a few of the amandine bonbon, which is, as you can see here, a not a super bright red, sort of a medium toned red ranunculus. And I don't have much in the way of Pauline, which is a darker red. And what I have absolutely none of, because it's new through my wholesaler, is amandine yellow. So I thought, well, if I ordered those wholesale, I end up with 75 corms of each. That would mean I would have 2 full beds of ranunculus. Am I sacrificing anything in my back garden cut flower beds to have 2 beds of ranunculus? And the answer is really no, because one of my beds was where I experimented with flowers, and frankly I didn't get anything out of that this year, so that bed's free. I already had a bed of ranunculus, but it wasn't full. 150 plus 100, so I'll have 250. I had planted about 75 and that bed wasn't full. If I have spillover, that's okay, it can go into another bed. So I can put at least 2 of those 5 cut flower beds in my back garden towards ranunculus, and I can spill over into a third if I need to. So that made me happy, but that wasn't enough to do the trios in the pop cans. So it's that. I might have to go get a cough drop in a minute because my throat's pretty raw. It's fireplace season again, and I am allergic to chimney smoke, and when the air pressure pushes it down from our neighbor, we don't have wood burning stove, we have gas, but our neighbor has wood burning stove, and when it pushes it down onto our property, it really affects my throat. Anyway, so I started thinking, now I've got the ranunculus sorted out, but for me, on their own, I would like to have something a bit more mixed up than just the ranunculus. And then I started thinking about anemones, and here I am last year in, was it January or February, can't remember, I said I would never grow anemones again, and I have now changed my mind because I want to do the pop cans, because they bloom at the same time as the ranunculus. I can mix them up. I can have like 1 anemone with 2 ranunculus, or 2 anemones with 1 ranunculus. And I'm already getting, I ordered back in the spring for my fall bulbs, I'm already getting blueberry anemones, which is the blue center and the white on the outside. And if you saw my digging up ranunculus, you'll see that when I dug up my anemones, for whatever reason, the corms, I could find only a handful, like 1 handful, like count them on my fingers. So I wasn't going to have those. So if I'm going to mix up in the pop cans with anemones and ranunculus, I'm going to need to buy more anemones. So I decided that to pair with the anemone blueberry, I'll put the full name of it up on the screen, I can't remember what it is. I'm going to get anemone Bordeaux, which I love. I did grow that before, and I just love the color. And I'm going to grow anemone sulfide, which I also love the color of. I love those really potent colors. So that'll give me 3 anemones at 75 each. I had a bed for anemones that I shared with lettuce. The anemones don't take up as much room as the ranunculus. But I'm giving 2 to ranunculus, and then spillover, and 1 to anemones plus spillover. That's 4 of my 5 cut flower beds in the back garden. The 5th one's going to be my black button bachelor buttons. That is guaranteed. What I'm losing space for is my snapdragons, but that's okay, because as I mentioned in a previous video, that I am putting 2 new beds into the front garden where all the dahlias are, but I'm not growing dahlias in the 2 new beds because the soil won't be rich enough for them. Specifically, those 2 new beds were so that I could get an earlier start and a later start on sunflowers. But I don't need to fill both beds up completely with sunflowers. I've always planned to do the back half of the beds with sunflowers. That would give me an extra 2 plantings, both in the spring and then again for later on in the fall. And the front half of the bed, I hadn't quite decided what I was going to plant in there yet. I had thought foxgloves, excuse me. I had thought foxgloves. But I have some issue. I mean, foxgloves grow like crazy in my garden, and people love them. But the problem is we were so hot this year. I'm a little concerned that if it's that hot again next year, that leaving a huge space for foxgloves is a waste of space. So I can actually put my snapdragons in there, and I don't need to fill up both beds with the snapdragons. So I thought I can do my snapdragons in one of the beds and maybe the foxgloves in the other bed. Now that I have the ranunculus and the anemones figured out, I also figured out my trios for them. So again, I'm just going to go over to my computer and figure out what that is. Just one sec. Okay, so the trios of the anemones / ranunculus are going to be, I'm going to have one hot grouping, and that's going to be, I forgot to say I had lots of ranunculus amandine salmon, which I have lots of, so I didn't need to order those. I have lots for the trios. And I'm going to do a hot grouping that has amandine salmon. I'll put it over here. The new amandine yellow. And that's the dark red one, so that's Pauline. So that's going to be my grouping of the 3 dark ones. Now, I think the yellow is a pop, a hard pop. The salmon is kind of a potent color, so the Pauline being a dark red will tone the other 2 colors down a bit so that it's not so in your face combination of colors. The deepness of the red will help tone down the other 2. Now the second trio that I'm doing, I'm calling pale, and that's going to have my amandine white, my amandine marshmallow, and the anemone blueberry. I think that's a nice grouping as well. So the third one that I'm going to do is anemone sulfide, and then anemone, can I say that right? No. Yeah, sulfide, anemone Bordeaux. The Bordeaux is the dark one, the sulfide is the fuchsia one, and my ranunculus bonbon, which is the brighter red. So the anemone that has the darker, deeper tones will tone down the vibrant fuchsia, and the slightly more potent red on the ranunculus. So those are going to be for the pop cans. So that's kind of exciting. Now for the single flowers in pop cans at that time, I believe my peonies should be blue. I say believe because who knows from one year to the other, right? My peonies should be blooming at that time. So my Ito peonies I can do as single cut flowers much the same way as I do my dinner plate to dahlias. The other thing is back in the spring, you may recall, I forget the name of the particular allium, but I haven't planted them yet, whatever the name is on here, allium, and it's got a huge, I don't have the information in front of me, I could look up in the computer, but whatever, I'll just put it on the screen. It's got a huge diameter purple globe, so that's also ones that are going to be sold singularly, but because of the size of the flower, I don't know if I can do those in pop cans, or if I might have to do them in a slightly taller something to sell them as singles. We'll see when the time comes. I don't need to worry about that right now. So that basically, has that taken care of my order? No, it did not completely take care of my order, because as long as I'm ordering my spring bulbs, I'm buying potatoes because they sell potatoes too. So we are getting Pacific russet, and I'm getting 3 2-kilogram bags, and I'm going to grow them in, we have these giant, I think they're fish totes that we had stuff stored in them before. and I'm going to drill holes in them so that they drain, and I'm going to use those 3 to plant my potatoes up, and 2 kilos in each one of 3. I think I have 4 of them, but I'll use 3 of them for that. And if I remember before I edit this video, I'll go and take a picture of what one looks like so that you can I'll just put it up here and you can see what it is. So that was my order. I had that all sorted out until last week when I did my, if I could only grow 5, what was my top 5 flowers. And I got, did I write it down on here? Where did I put that? Oh, I'm gonna go look that up on my computer again. Just one sec. Okay, I'm back. So last week in the comment section of my if I could only grow 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 flowers, Eileen left a comment saying that her number, if she could only grow 1 flower, what would it be? And it would be gladiolas, and then dahlias would be her second, and so forth. And I thought, well, you know, I've never grown gladiolas, and a lot of people do like them. And the reason I hadn't really considered them is because they basically bloom at the same time as my dahlias. But it intrigued me, so I commented back to her, asking her if she, which of all the glads are her favorites. And she said it was Black Sea. So I googled Black Sea, and I mean, it's gorgeous. It's just stunning. And of course, it's that really super dark, blacky, purpley, burgundy red color that everybody loves, including me. And I thought, oh, I wonder if my wholesaler sells that. Well, my wholesaler doesn't sell that one, but they do. Van Noort, who is my wholesaler, Van Noort does not sell Black Sea, but they do sell espresso, which I don't know if there's any difference between them. The pictures of them are interchangeable. I mean, I'll put them side by side. I can't tell the difference. Maybe it's the same glad with a different name. Who knows? That happens lots of times with things. Maybe it's not. Maybe one grows taller than the other, or maybe one grows earlier than the other. I have no idea. But my wholesaler sells espresso, and she gave me the name of the wholesaler that sells Black Sea, but I don't have an account with them, and I'm placing my order with Van Noort. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try them. So I placed an order for 80 espresso gladiola, and so the 2 beds, I'm going to do them in crates, so I can actually literally move them around if I want to, but I'm probably, I like the way roots come through pots or crates and go into the soil and feed off of that really, really healthy soil, which is really good for bulbs that are going to be usable from year to year. So I'm probably not going to move the crates around once they start really growing. And the 2 extra beds that I have in my front garden, I'm going to have the sunflowers at the back. I will have the snapdragons in the front, and I'm going to have the crate. I don't know how, I haven't planted them yet, so I know you can plant them like egg carton style and really close together. I'm going to have the crates of the gladiolas in those beds as well, and then any leftover space can go to the foxgloves. And there'll be other places I can just tuck foxgloves in here and there. I mean, they're already all over the place because they just they literally are self-seeding all over my garden. They're like weeds this year. The year was just perfect for them to set seed and disperse them absolutely everywhere. I went to start counting them. I went, no, that's crazy. There's probably hundreds. Anyway, that's my order with Van Noort, and that really, really excites me.